right. Well, see, we're gonna add Mac. That Mac. I go Mac.
Return of the Mac.
Return of the Mac.
Oh
Hey man,
my
this feel like
God.
deja vu. Didn't we just do this?
I feel like we
De-
did, man.
Deja vu, but not Deja Q. Hold up. Well, shout out to
Shout out to Carlos.
Oh man. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're back with us, it's because Tanya Boyd Cannon, she pressed in broadcast. Instead of just leaving the studio, she pressed end broadcast. Now, for those of you that have no idea what that means and you really don't care, but you're just here to see our beautiful faces and listen to what we have to discuss this evening, some of the things that I would like to discuss would be, the information that we heard about uh, Mr. Hassan coming forth after having been outside of the continuous 48 and shedding new light. And I mean, that ain't new. Like every black person in the entire world, I would say I already knew, but I'm just hinting at what we're gonna talk about. I thought about LeBron James' son, his cardiac arrest. Also, the writer strike, the UPS strike, the actor strike. McRae, he be throwing strikes, in baseball. The Jackson Film Festival, and certainly this last one, our text group has been pretty lit with this one. The Gathering Spot in Greenwood. So, look, anywhere y'all want to start, we can jump in there. And Mac, I muted you, so what you thinking, man? I know you got your drink pulled up now, but let's go.
So one of the stories connects to something that we need to talk about just here. I guess we jump out with Malcolm X, right? So a lot
Okay.
of us who follow a lot of our history from the civil rights movement on up, we knew that there were a lot of assassinations and assassination attempts, and the one with Malcolm X has always been one of the biggest conspiracies of what happened, what exactly happened. And we actually, some of us got a chance to hear some of that from the great Dick Gregory.
Mm-hmm.
And he
On
went
Fair
on many
Street,
times
correct?
when he was at the Alamo
Yeah.
the last time. Like actually, that's like one of his last. That was his last tour. But he talked about it many times before of how they spoke, and he knew they were going to try to get him. He said he wasn't going to let him get him too. He didn't show up, but it been so many different things. But whatever happened, to say how it happened, it always came back to there was an inside job, right?
Yeah.
And it was an inside job, and that people, as tight as the security was, someone in the inside had something to do with it. What's that?
That's low texting me. It's not me echoing low. It's one of our issues that we have when Mac uses his phone. Okay. So thank
Oh,
you, my brother,
okay.
for letting us know that.
No,
The
I
tech
get
the
it.
the
It's
tech
okay, man. Look,
the
just keep
technical
going.
technicals.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so the other thing I was about to say um, was one of the sayings that Malcolm X used to say: you cannot stop folks from getting to your organization. Only thing you can do is try to put enough people around them to surround them to prevent them from being able to do something. So he knew he had traitors in his midst. He
Right.
spoke by that. He knew some of the same folks that was giving him the greetings might be some of the same folks that were trying to do something to him. So I think that's a good way to start. Go ahead, CJ. I see you thinking. See your
Oh
wheels
no,
turn.
no, no, man. I was just listening in and also taking in what you were saying about it. But yeah, I remember a lot of times when Malcolm would greet the audience with good evening to my friends and good evening to my enemies as well, because I know some of y'all in here too.
All right.
And so today to have someone come forward who basically, Brother Hassan, who had not been interviewed at all within the, I guess, the 48 years, because it
50
has been
from
58
yeah,
years
yeah.
since his occurrence. Um, he finally comes forward. He left the states and moved abroad because he felt unsafe here, and so uh, Ben Crump, attorney Ben Crump, held a press conference today to present information that had not previously been known, including some video footage that I believe had not ever been seen, or at least not contextualized in the manner in which it was today. And there was also some conversation that took place. Now, I'll be honest, it was a little bit difficult for me to hear all of what was taking place in that conversation.
Why was it difficult, CJ?
They had some technical difficulties, dog. They had some tech. I, brother Crump, dog team, listen to me. Black with no chaser, hot. Black with no chaser. We gonna reach out to you.
Right.
We gonna get you taken care of, dog. Cause we can't have that happen again the way it happened today when you were talking about something so significant. And I think some of the significance of it was missed because it was lost in translation because of the technology, or some of the deficiencies in the technology that was available today. But if you get with us and we're gonna reach out to you, we intend for that to never be the case again, because the work that is being done is far too important for the message to be missed in the process. But what some of the things that Brother Hassan shared again was the fact that he was right there next to. I mean, you could see him in the photographs next to Brother Malcolm, right there during the assassination. You see Sister Betty Shabazz to one side of him, and you see Brother Hassan to the other side, the opposite side of him, when as they're attempting to render aid to Malcolm in the aftermath. It's our understanding, based on what Hassan said today, that no other aid was ever rendered to him. No health care of any kind after his being shot.
Yeah.
Of course, it happened at the Audubon Ballroom, as many of us are. But essentially, this is Mustafa. Yeah, I'm here.
And am I correct? The actual press conference for today was held in the Audubon Ballroom as well. Is that right?
Yes, I believe it was held in the Audubon Ballroom today. Hassan is 84 years old, and he still looks in very good health.
Very good health.
Very good state of mind. He was able to express himself clearly. He was able to show himself in the photographs.
Yeah,
articulate himself in the videos. You showing it to him, Chuck? Yeah, there you go.
You should be able to actually see part of the photo demonstration. And Attorney Crump, and along with Brother Hassan, actually pointing to himself
and where he is
on,
right, to the man who who they believe was the culprit, or who they witnessed as the culprit in this instance. And one of the things that Brother Hassan said he heard the NYPD saying during this skirmish is he with us?
Is he with us?
Is he with us? And they weren't referring to Brother Hassan. They were referring to the man that they were holding on to. Brother Hassan also went on to state that he witnessed what he believed to be a dry run of the assassination attempt, almost like they were practicing in preparation.
So now my question is this, man. For Hassan,
and my bad, that was Eugene Roberts that said that part.
Okay.
Eugene Roberts, an NYPD informant.
Yeah.
Pretended to be an associate.
So now I know I watched this video or this actual press conference from I watched it from Reuters, and then the other place that we were mentioning that we caught it from earlier, I think it's Global something. There are a number of people that have been named, and Mac, you and I were talking about this a bit off air or prior to, like the number of people internal to the mosque, but then also in addition to the number of police officers and FBI operatives that were kept separate in a sense, so that nobody would know what, left hand wouldn't know what the right hand was doing. What do you think about that? And this is for me, this is not the first time that I've heard this. There are some other news reports from, as recently as maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. And I'll get this link pulled up from Axios that CJ sent over. But what do you think about that? And I mean, and why now? Why now? CJ, did
Oh,
you?
I thought that question was for Mac. I'm sorry.
Oh, either one of y'all. Why you
Oh
think
yeah,
it's
I
now?
thought it was. I thought it was for CJ. Man, it's this is. I guess the question is like you said, right? Why now? And maybe some new stuff will come forward. Maybe there's some protection worked out. Who knows why they're coming forward now? But like I said, I saw a documentary probably last year on Netflix or somewhere
Hmm.
that was talking about this, where they was
Hmm.
exposing,
Yep.
going in depth, where the guy was going. Um, the guy was going interviewing more of the Muslim community. He was Muslim, and he was interviewing folks and trying to get more of the feedback um, about what happened. And everybody was still tight-lipped, and they're like, and they're saying like some things you just need to leave alone, let go. And so we saw all of that, but this is one of the mysteries. And then you had the one night in was it one night in Miami
Yeah.
that led up to that, and that's the movie that also was on Netflix. How you knew that something was coming. You knew it was
Hmm.
coming. Yeah, you
Hmm.
saw it. And like I said, Dick Gregory spoke about it. You knew it was coming, but
Yeah.
you had to go forward.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
there was a twist on that you knew the firing from the stage, but someone said, I think it might have been Baba Dick Gregory that said that they believe there was a shot come from above,
Yeah.
like it was two shooters. Like you had the shooter that everybody paid attention to, and
Right.
then you had another shooter that either was above or below. I'm trying to remember which one he said that actually been there was actually a shot that actually killed him. Um, but the same thing
And
that happened with what you said.
you now I was gonna say interesting, Mac. That was reinforced today by the statement that Hassan made. He said that he saw another gunman. In addition to the gunman that the police were asking, is this man with us? He said after police saw Malcolm X supporters beating the man, the police then asked, "Is this man with us?"
Hmm.
Because the people who saw what happened to Malcolm immediately jumped on who they believed to be the person who committed the act. But in the midst of that, he also saw another gunman. So that corroborates and goes hand in hand with the story that you're saying. Dick Gregory shared.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think CJ, can you speak to the timeline that they have to abide by in terms of I know
Statute
in
of limitations and things like that.
statute of limitations, then also when the last thing that they filed, how they filed it, why they filed it, and then this 6 month period, because I know those are some of the things that a lot of the reporters were asking questions about.
Okay. So, as I stated a little bit earlier, my familiarity with this situation is a bit fresh as it relates to what Crump and all of them shared today,
Yeah.
just based on the fact that it really was hard to hear. I know we kind of made light of it earlier, but it was when you trying to take in that level of information, something that's significant,
Yeah.
you really want to hear all of the details. Uh, some of the things that I'll say is obviously anytime you are suing or you're going after a governmental body, it's a challenging thing to do.
Yeah.
It's easier to go after a city than it is to go after the state, than it is to go after the federal government. In this case, the allegations that are being levied here in the scenario that was presented today is that both the New York Police Department and potentially the FBI played a role in what uh, occurred with Malcolm.
Yeah.
So um, if you're looking at the timeline of this, I believe that there was a letter released in 2021 uh, by the family of Malcolm X that was reportedly written by a deceased police officer who alleged that the New York Police Department and FBI were behind the assassination. Um, and so that was something that was stated. The city of New York agreed in 2022 to pay 26 million in lawsuit settlements on behalf of the men who were who were falsely convicted in regard to this. And so mhm.
$26 million. That
26 million. I mean, like there really is no way to quantify or put a price on the amount of
yeah,
time lost, but I mean that's relatively significant. That's pretty significant in this in respect to how it's generally done in the past. And I apologize, I got conversations taking place in my background, so I'm gonna mute for a second. But uh, yeah, that's where kind of things stand right now with the
yeah.
situation with Malcolm.
Look, we want to appreciate our nightcappers for checking in. Shout out to DJ Curry, Joshua Curry, also Lenora Campbell, Justice or else. Of course, I mean, I think that's definitely how most of us feel as it relates to calling for justice. But my mind goes to I mean, the degrees of separation between where we are locally, which we're all based in Mississippi. And we've had conspiracy theory, and I'm not calling it was definitely a conspiracy, a concerted effort to dismantle what Malcolm X and his organization were able to put together. But we've had conversations internally as far as Tougaloo is concerned about how and why certain people were hired, whether and I'm not even gonna put a date or anything on it. But how did we get these particular dormitories on our campus? Why was there a partnership established between, quote unquote, Brown and Tougaloo? Um, why were certain staff members or people, but transferred between the institutions and all of that? And there are some students from Brown and from Tougaloo that have done this research that point to you know FBI involvement in the surveillance of the Mississippi Civil Rights Movement. And speaking to one of Mac's favorite people, um, Coach Coleman called him Freedom, Brother Hollis. I mean, we all have heard stories of there being random people that would always show up in the background of photos.
Yeah,
So at some point, man, FBI, USA, U triple SA, whoever the hell y'all are out there, y'all gonna have to run and run them checks to all
yeah.
of the families, all of the people, all of the organizations, this particular culture, these Africans living in America, and y'all gonna have to pay for what y'all did. And that ain't even got nothing to do with slavery. We ain't got that yet.
hmm Yeah, yeah, man. It's it's pervasive what has happened to our people here. You know what I mean? I know we can't ever reiterate it enough. No matter how much Florida tries to
Shit, Mississippi
paint a
too.
paint a picture of it that is, clearly not true. I mean, we know that what has occurred to us here, and then you
Yeah.
start thinking about Malcolm, Medgar, Vernon Damer. You think about pretty much Martin. Uh, Anybody who spoke on behalf of Black people as recently as a a generation ago,
Yeah.
1 generation ago, a granddaddy ago, a daddy ago,
Mhm.
uh, is. I mean, they literally were killing them. You know, I saw that they were unveiling uh, Emmett Till statue. Today would have been his birthday, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, and shout out to Higher Purpose Co. For them, they set out all of the tickets to the two museums, the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum. They set out basically the whole day. They bought the building, they bought the bar out, and let everybody go in the museum and tour in celebration of Emmett Till's birthday. So I thought that was pretty dope.
Of his birthday for sure. Like so,
Yeah.
I definitely am down to celebrate uh the birth and life of Emmett Till. I will be quite frank with you in saying that I don't know that I was moved by the statue itself like that. In I mean, I, you know, I know Carolyn Bryant is gone now,
Right.
but
I've
I
been
think the feelings. Me and my dad sat there and watched that movie. I think that was this past weekend, and the feelings were
y'all watch
very
the
very raw.
new one, Till.
Yeah, we watched Teal, man. I
I
ain't
watched,
gonna lie, that was a movie I had been avoiding watching.
yeah,
Uh, it was a good movie. It was a good movie, but it did what you expected it to do. As
yeah.
far, I mean, like if you expected to be angry when it
It's
was
definitely gonna
done,
do that.
it it definitely is going to leave you with some of those feelings. It's going to leave you feeling conflicted and things like that.
Yeah,
But it was it left us with a lot of questions and put it in perspective what it was like to have to live through that experience for black folks at that time.
yeah,
Um, and you understand that that was a galvanizing factor of the subsequent movement that occurred afterwards. Um, I was just looking at it and putting it in perspective from the standpoint of my dad was born exactly 1 month after the Emmett. In fact, his birthday is 4 days after Emmett Till's birthday. After but 14 years prior. And
yeah,
so my dad was born in 55, in July of 55, the year that Emmett Till passed. So
yeah.
right. And so
Not that far, dog. Not that far.
it ain't that wasn't didn't happen that long ago. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? We know people who knew people
yeah,
that was walking this earth when it happened. And so when you think about that, and we talking about um consequences and repercussions and there needing to be um accountability there, I still think that that's the truth for the city of Greenwood, or Money, Mississippi, the state of Mississippi, the federal government and its handling of that case. And
yeah,
so, and that's just one of many. So
yeah. And I think the only way that we ever get to get to that is that we get and I'm not the political or the political, but we know that for us to get some of these things through, we have to get more of us in these particular seats.
mhm.
If from the governmental standpoint, now we can continue to have the conversation so that we pass on the knowledge of what truly happened or of what we know to have taken place, and we of course, continue the oral tradition, but through platforms like what we've developed with Mississippi Move and Black with No Chaser, like local organizing, and then also the storytelling. So we're building we've built our own tables, and we're continuing to expand them. But the only way that I would say governmentally that we will be able to achieve any sort of justice is that we gotta get in there. So
Yeah.
my question
Um,
is with August approaching, how do we do that?
well, we got some people pushing right now to be in positions to make changes on the state levels for sure. But I hear echo again. Is that me? Okay. Oh, okay. I didn't know. I was just trying to make sure I didn't. I knew I had the computer on before. So, uh, but I mean, we got people like Raquel Lumumba, who was a sister we've all known since our freshman years of college. Even that's been really about work for a long time, and you got others that are like her who are running for positions right now that uh certainly aren't afraid to um walk into the fire, which is where you'll be in a majority, uh in a heavily conservative majority state legislature and things like that. So there's plenty of opportunities. I don't know who I was running for stuff, and to be quite honest with you, um I I I don't have the desire to be the one to do it. I help the ones that's doing it, but at this moment, I personally don't have that desire. But I know that there has to be people that are willing to do it, and maybe we're the people that help fund the people that are willing to do it, help advance the causes of the people who are willing to do it, and maybe we help write the policy and allow them to be the champions of the policies that we're pushing to get it through. Make you on mute.
Chuck.
Like, I know you got something to add.
So
Go ahead.
yeah, I was I hear the part, and it's gonna sound crazy about the education and voting, but I think for us, the desire to want to see closure and seek justice, and the work of groundwork, like what are we doing for us educating and getting the word out, and they pushing it out where you're talking about this conspiracy thing they got with this critical race theory, where you don't want to talk about it in schools. So we got to go back to the traditional way where we did it with freedom schools and talking about it around the table, the barbecues. Why is this still relevant? Well, it's still relevant because what happened with Malcolm X and what happened with Emmett Till is still happening today. Just like what happened in Rankin County. And Chuck, I sent you two flyers. There's a event coming up from the August 25th through August 27th to recognize Emmett Till, and one of those is going to be a large 1,000 man rally at the convention center. That's one of those things that's happening. But the other thing is coming up this weekend, they got a press conference about um, the abuse that happened at the hands of the officers in Rankin County. These things are constantly happening. So we are fighting for justice for cases with Malcolm X and Emmett Till, but the things that happen to them is constantly happening to us in real time in 2023. And so it's like our mindset of what are we going to do? How are we going to teach each other, teach us, protect us, building our lower level structure. What are we putting in place for as our community, our businesses, those type of things we got to look at, because these are the foundations. These are things that made national news, but what happened to them is constantly happening to us, like in right now in today's time. How are we going to fight that, and how many people actually care is the question.
Bro, that's a great question. I guess the thing that comes to mind for me, I saw shout out to Valencia Walls at USM. They took a picture in front of your you and Tanya Soror. Um, they took a picture in front of the screen of the presentation that one of their leadership retreat presenters or speakers spoke upon, and the question was asked, what would your founders do? And it made me think. I'm like, let me flip the question. What would the Neos do? And I know how we were as young brothers, newly initiated. Like, we wanted to go and have fun and be out and step, hop, stroll, um, set the march out, road trip, and do all of those things. But we also had the Tougaloo upbringing where we were always sensitive to call to action. Um, and I don't know. I know that there are young people out there that are still doing that because we're connected with them,
Mhm.
but I don't know, and it could be, me asking this question and with us having this dialogue about it. Is it out? Where did we not do a good job as the 2000s of bridging that gap, or
Ah,
continuing that conversation, or is it that we ain't really down as we say we are?
uh, I think it's a lot to that. Um, I
And
think there's
CJ, when you say we,
mhm.
it's not just us on this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? And that's what I was saying. I said both, right?
yeah,
yeah.
And I said both, being truthful and transparent because uh, and when Juneteenth hit, I came up with a new slogan. I said, we like the idea for being free versus the plan for being free.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
man.
idea of signing, oh, one day we're gonna have this. First, I said, hey, you know what we can do? You're gonna have to get a second job, work that job for 5 years, save that money, don't spend that check, and take that check and go buy this. And
yeah.
you
Yeah.
say, man, man, I don't know,
I don't know about
but
that.
that's the plan.
Right, long term.
And
Yeah.
and that's what I say that it sounds good because everybody sitting in that seat talking about community service, and you can go down the list of civil rights workers and you can identify somebody a part of all our organizations, but then we don't continue to mirror the work that they did. We
Yeah.
don't. We don't. Not until we go to conference, right? We're
Uh-huh.
gonna light a candle with their picture. Everybody gonna we're gonna talk about the highlight of their life and go right back and do none of what they did
That
to be
bullshit.
recognized by our organization.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and and that because it's not continued to be ingrained in us and duplicated. If you came into the chapter and this was known what y'all was doing, like folks were hitting you, I'm like, shit, man, they about that life. They out there. Man, one of the brothers went to jail because they were you knew when you got into it, this is what y'all was doing. And y'all continue to, and same way with us. If you continue to have that tone, but if we are not doing it on a regular basis,
You know what,
um,
Mac? Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
just got to
Don't
thinking.
lose it.
A lot of us were something that you said resonated with me, and that's that a lot of us we kind of were we came into uh the organizations that we came into at a time where it was like a period of very little movement, social movement on a national level, but on a local level we were experiencing things like Raynard Johnson in Columbia, Mississippi,
Yeah.
a lynching that took place in 2000 when we were literally freshmen, like right after our freshman year. We had not even got back to the yard for our sophomore year when we experienced that. Some of us began to rally around things like that. We began to rally around things that were occurring right there in the city of Jackson and in the surrounding areas. Um, and we began, uh, because we were at Tougaloo, we were being exposed to people who were a part of the movement,
Right.
because the veterans of the civil rights movement were right there on campus engaging us. And so we had a school that from an institutional standpoint was instilling that in us at that time. Even the professors that we were dealing with were professors that were directly involved with it, and I believe that all of those factors played a role in what began to motivate us. And I mean, it would be very difficult to be in a Dr. William Woods class and um, not become enlightened to the point where you begin to
Yeah.
challenge and question things for yourself. I would say, you know, I, I certainly had from my own upbringing. I had the ability. I was already having it instilled in me at home that a level of social awareness, but it got taken to the next level when now I'm getting it in every single class I go to, whether it's political science, history. When you start getting social awareness in chemistry and biology, English,
Right.
you get it in every class that you go to.
Yeah.
You know, it becomes very difficult to ignore or to be unaware of what it is that's happening in the world around you, and to want to truly be involved in the shift that's necessary. I don't,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to say that this generation isn't engaged, because I do see people that are uh engaged. It's like what Franz Fanon says, like each new generation must discover its mission, fulfill it or betray it. And I think for a lot of us, you know, it was start the movement, and for them it's advance it. That must be their, you know, I think that's their mission, is can you advance what we've started or what we've pushed, because that was pretty much us at Ferguson. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That was
Yeah.
us in Jenna and in Sanford and all of those places, raising hell, and they took it to the next level in Ferguson with, uh, you know, with the way in which, you know, Ferguson led to Minnesota and George Floyd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's a chain of events like that. And so, my
And look,
hope is
I
that
want to
it take
pause
the
for a second before we continue on. And I want to recognize some of the folks who got in the comments. Um, Jeezy, I guess that's Jeezy Doctor Forever, maybe, I don't know. Uh, Electing President Obama twice put us to sleep. It took us out of the fight. We've got Brother John Barnett. He's giving us some kudos, and also he's saying that we can't wait to get to Rankin County. And as we bring that up, I definitely like to get these graphics that Mac provided to us. Want to get those on the screen, and then we'll run through these announcements, and then we'll get back to our conversation. But Saturday, July 29th, Justice or Else anti-police brutality, anti-white supremacist rallies, demonstration starting at 4, and Rankin County Sheriff's Department at the Confederate Monument. That's in Brandon, Mississippi. So we'll get these posted to our social media platforms, but also you can take a screenshot right now and start sending this around and forwarding it to your family, friends, and your cousins. Here's another one. We've got 1,000 Black men standing for unity and justice. This is Sunday, August 27th, 2 p.m. in Jackson. We're calling all brothers who want a change. This will be downtown Jackson Convention Center. For more info, you can text 877-506-2184. And some of this stuff that we're talking about, we'll be able to, have some smaller conversations at various events. And that's what Mac was kind of hinting at earlier. We have these fun social activities and we're getting ready to go back to school, but we've got to start incorporating some of these conversations into the things that we're involved in. So this is one of the things that we're doing Friday, July 28th, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's a back to school day party. We've got DJ Mailman along with Key Marcane. We've got the hygiene bags, health screenings, and the photo booth, all free. And we've got something special, special appreciation for the parents. We just had National Parents Day the other day. I don't know if that was a real thing or not. I celebrated it. Shout out to all the parents out there. But Mississippi Move, the Institute for the Advancement of Minority Health, Shield Corvette Club, the Epps Institute, and Mississippi School of Health Services and Careers. These are people and organizations that are really putting their resources where they matter. Folks are getting together, doing things as the good church folk would say, in decency and in order. So there's a plan. They got a mission, and they plan to execute and achieve that mission. So we'd like to thank all of these people for what they're doing. Not only for the kids, but also for the community and all the families involved. So let's jump back into the conversation and see if we can push some of it forward. Um, we're talking about movement. We talk about Mississippi. We're talking about next steps in terms of what do we do next. What are the lessons that we've learned from recent information that was shared. But then also, I mean, we've got some brand new companies, and I'm not trying to skate past it, but I really want us to talk about it. Um, companies that I think that we know, like, and trust that have gone through a growth period, and I'm talking about the Gathering Spot in Greenwood. So before CJ's got to go drop off his little cuz, but I definitely want
We can get in on that real
I
quick.
want to get in on that real quick, man. You got 10 minutes?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
I can talk about that for a second. So for those who, for some perspective, for those who may not be familiar, the Gathering Spot is a place that originated in Atlanta with Ryan Ryan Wilson and TK Patterson were the two co-founders of the Gathering Spot. It's a, a social meeting space for
Super dope.
mainly right black businesses.
Super dope.
It's a lot of black startups. A lot of black ideas have been fostered there in just the last, you know, 4 or 5 years that they've been in existence.
Yeah.
And last year, they um, merged or were bought by what we understood at the time or were perceived to be a black company, Greenwood Bank, or what was called Greenwood Bank. And to be quite honest with y'all, I'm just gonna keep it all the way funky with y'all. Um, Greenwood Bank was not something that I have ever jumped on fully on board with because I was we have a friend, a sister from Mississippi, who was working very hard on building a bank at the same time. Uh, or before this even existed, before Greenwood was ever even a thought that
Yeah.
I was familiar with.
Yeah.
To be quite honest with you,
Mississippi led the way.
Greenwood, to my knowledge, did not emerge or did not exist before the white corporations started promising money in 2020. Now, I'm not saying that that's how it went, but I'm saying I never heard of anything about it up until 2020. And what a lot of companies do is you know, they get influencer partners to help their companies advance, and I believe that was how Greenwood was able to scale quickly, along with having
They
a
dropped the name.
name,
They
right?
dropped
Along with having a name that would immediately and instantly appeal to black people at a time in which our emotions were raw. We obviously were going to support black things because this was in the height of the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery uh, movement in 2020. All of these things happening back to back to back, and so we were certainly and the pandemic on the top of all of that. So, um, there was money being thrown around, and I think that what needs to be clear is my understanding that um, Greenwood is not really a bank. It's more of it's a fintech that has subsidiary. It has and when you have a financial tech company or a holding essentially company, you still have to work with other big banks that have the ability and capacity to handle what you're trying to do from a transactional standpoint. And the banks that Greenwood essentially, to my understanding again, answering to, a lot of them are white banks that are sitting on the board of that. Um, Recently, one of the co-founders was removed from his position as chief operating officer. That's TK. Was
Yeah.
removed from his position. Since that time, there's been statements that don't have a tone. And Chuck, you might can pull up the statement on Instagram if you
Yeah.
have access to it. And it's
Yeah.
not a tone that's directly what sounds like two black companies. If two black companies that merge, it's not a statement that black people would typically make. One of them was it referred to black people as blacks, right?
Blacks. The blacks.
Blacks and minorities. And when it said that in the statement, you know, to me that's a red flag. When that's like when what was what did the black people that was voting for Trump call themselves?
Blacks for Trump, something like that.
That's right. So when somebody say blacks, immediately
Blacks.
my antennas go up. And so this is the statement that's the statement that went out. Uh, I believe I don't know if it was yesterday or today. I believe it was
Yeah,
yesterday.
I'm trying to. I think I'm looking at the right one.
And so essentially you
Is it
see
on the gathering spot? Is it on Greenwood?
it's on I mean, I think it's on the gathering unless they deleted it.
Okay. Hold up, let me see.
It was on their page. Uh, but what you see is, I mean, to me, if a black company operates itself and holds itself out in a manner of operating and doing stuff in a way that what we're traditionally familiar with white companies, then to me it's no better than that. Then there's no reason to do business with you if you do business like them. To me, because if you're gonna dog the people like that, if you're gonna misrepresent things, and I'm not saying that they've misrepresented things, but I'm saying that there have been conflicting statements that have come out, and you have to be very careful when you're talking about stuff like this, because you know, in talking about it and trying to inform people, you want to make sure you don't get yourself tied up in those situations. You know what I mean? I certainly don't want to get us entangled in any situations in attempting to articulate it. But what I will say is this: there has been statements that come out from uh the gathering spot page that did not coincide with the way in which Ryan or TK, who were the original co-founders, talk.
Yeah.
And it appeared that they were unfamiliar with these statements that were being attributed to them coming out on behalf of themselves and the gathering spot. Because people are invested in them, and because the gathering spot and the people who acquired it now seem to understand just how significant the value of these two guys is to the space and to the members who joined it on the strength of them.
Yeah.
They're now walking back a lot of what happened. So yeah, Chuck, you can go ahead and share.
Is this the statement that you were referring to? This
That's
looks
one
like
of them. That's
this
one
the
of the
email.
statements.
Okay, hold up.
That might be the email that got sent out.
Yeah.
It looked
I think they might have deleted it, bro.
They might have, because we was cooking them on it, man.
Yeah,
When I saw blacks and minorities, I said, wait a minute, hold on, let me. Is that it right there? FDC. Look at that one that says FDC
FDC.
or the black and blue.
This right here?
Is that it?
No, this is
That ain't it.
this the A3C joint.
Oh, well, they may have deleted it, man. They may
Yeah.
have deleted it because Ryan and TK later came out with a statement that said, "Yo, that wasn't us," or something to that extent.
Yeah.
And said like, "Yo, but we gonna make a statement." And maybe they did make that statement today or
And I think they
tonight.
did this. It was at 7 p.m. So
Okay, so they did one today.
It'd have been 6 hour time, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so maybe there was some clarity that was provided because they had not made a public statement, but they had filed a lawsuit against Paul. I think they filed a lawsuit against Paul Judge and Ryan. Whatever Ryan's name, the other Ryan. So it's confusing because there's two Ryans, but one
Yeah.
Ryan is a co-founder, and that's Ryan Wilson and TK Peterson. And
Right.
so those are the two original founders of the company. But I don't know if the lawsuit is still ongoing. It was earlier today. I had not seen any notice of dismissal or anything entered with the courts, Fulton County Superior Court. So we gonna see what happens with that.
I appreciate me being able to find humor in this situation. Out of that, then I start crying at this because the thing that I really this is why it's so dope to be able to let me say it like this. I saw a post earlier today where one of our Facebook friends, a very influential and very talented person, said, either you're going to be an entrepreneur or you're going to work for one. I totally agree.
That's some real shit.
Reading this, and I'm hoping that I can zoom in on it. Shout out to BMO Brown. Can y'all see that? The reason why we need us as entrepreneurs is because you should be able to walk into your workplace. Like, I don't have to, if I'm going to have a meeting with Mac, I can walk in with everything that I am, right? In addition to If me and the boys had a difficult situation at home, I can talk to Mac about it at work.
Right.
It and the same thing, like, all right, well, if CJ walk in the room, I don't have to be like, oh shoot, hold up.
Let me act like I'm doing some work.
Yeah.
Let me be quiet. Let me.
so
Yeah.
so man, I appreciate BMO Brown for saying, looking forward to it. No code switching, keep it funky with us. We can handle
Yeah.
bad or white news. That last
Dog,
part.
we can have the bad or white news is funny, bro. And it's funny because to me, I'm like, I don't know what if there's a difference. Like, I don't know if the or is necessary.
Hey, but it should have been
This bitch.
just slash.
A slash would have been efficient right there.
All right.
That's that.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
slash. But it's true. I mean, like, essentially, man, it was a moment last year where I was happy to see two black businesses, what I understood to be two black businesses coming together for the purpose of becoming a more even stronger unified business. Like,
Yeah.
the idea of that is a good idea, but in the execution thus far has been clunky at best.
Man.
And it's already led to a lawsuit within a year of their marriage, and a lot of people, influential startup founders and things like that in Atlanta, have had a lot to say about it, and they have a much deeper knowledge and understanding of it.
Yeah.
So, but we got to look out for us, man, and companies that don't look out for, if you're a black company and you're not trying to help other black companies, help other black businesses, other black folk, then you just another company.
Yeah.
What Max said. What Max said.
I wore this shirt for a reason, and I was talking to Nishambi, and we were talking about some of the stuff that was going on in Holmes County and organized. See, I guess what a lot of folks don't think, there's so much organizing that's taking place in the state. Like there's so many different cases. So you might be saying, man, I ain't seen them over here to deal with this case because I'm still working on the same case that I was working on in Rolling Fork, or the same one that Chuck, I'm working on in Gulfport.
Yeah.
But going back to civil rights attorney Carol Rhodes and Brother Hollis stated in 2015 Black Family Summit, while they were working for political power, they should have been working more towards economic power because it goes back to control, ownership, the stuff that we need, the basic necessities.
Yeah.
We don't own. So yeah, I want to free my people, but I can't even feed them because I don't own my own grocery store. What does freedom look like? You know what I'm saying? It's so much things. It's so many things that, like, big shout out to Fred, another business owner, um, out there. Folks out there fighting to own their own stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have it. When we start talking about logistical company, we're talking about a cleanup company, talking about these black owned companies.
The
And
pieces.
I think you shared it, Chuck, on Facebook. Um, was a logging company, a big
Yeah.
black logging company. Like we have, but to see those large businesses
Yeah.
see this on a large scale, why is that important when it comes to justice, when it comes to politics? You know, we don't have the ownership, we don't have the capital, we don't have the support to demand it, not because they respect you, because you meet them and come to the table and say, this is what I have. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do, this is what I'm going to take away. And we don't have those pieces where we can put on the table and say, listen, they don't say we can't, don't get those colors riled up over there because we need that factory that they own.
Right.
And if we upset them colors and they shut down their factory, that's gonna hurt us,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
don't have that type of capacity where they do it because they need what you offer, not because they need you. And I think so. I think that when we talk about business and growing our own startups and having the things we need, we got to be really transparent about that, and we got to really pull together to get half of what they have. Now I always say this: we got to work 3 times as hard to get half of what they got. And the day is a generalized term when we talk about white America, right? Those folks that control or big pharma and Wall Street, those those folks that pimp poor whites the same way they do black. Um, we have to pull our resources together in order to have a conversation that's going to take care of us as a whole. But we don't bring nothing to the table. If you're not sitting at the table, then you're on the menu.
And you're on the menu. And Mac,
And
I'm not trying to pivot from that. I think
yeah,
what I'm about to share is definitely along those lines. I think we have to, like you said, we have to have these conversations. And there are people that know exactly what to say, how to say it, who to talk with, and we also have to do some things that are not advertised. So this is one of the particular things that are advertised, and this this speaker, Ivory Cancer, she's from the Higher Purpose Co. Nonprofit organization. Now I think they have a statewide reach, and their purpose with elevating businesses and nonprofit organizations to their highest purpose. So we want to highlight that Ivory will be talking about her work of branding and storytelling and advocacy with Higher Purpose Co. This will be presented by the Mississippi Black Pages, which was formerly known as the Jackson Black Pages. But this will be taking place at Center Stage Event Center, which is a Black-owned business. We are relaunching the Mississippi Black Pages. We're relaunching the Mississippi Black Business Expo. We're statewide. We want to have all of our cousins that have moved elsewhere. We want this expo to become the organizing point, the launching point. We've already launched tons of businesses that are now enterprises, right? We didn't have people that have operated out of the back of their trunk. Now they got storefronts, right? The people who you see here before you right now, we launched businesses there. Some of them have done great. Some of them taught us lessons, and we're living those lessons right now. So the thing is, we go for play. We go to Essence. We go to the used to be the Southern Heritage Classic. We used to go to the Circle City Classic. And the Circle City Classic will have like a business expo every year. I think, like you talk about higher purpose. And sometimes your purpose evolves, right? God gives you, one set of assignments, and if you do the work, that assignment may pass away, right? It may be passed on to somebody else because you've done the part that you were tasked with doing, meaning that your skill set was specifically designed for this particular part of this larger project. Now it's time for you to move on to something else, or your thing evolves and turns and morphs into something else. I think that's where a lot of us are, and we talked about that bridging the gap type of situation where is it us? I think now we're moving into the space where we can't be the organizers and the boots on the ground and the brains behind the operation all at the same time. We Mac talks about logistics and having supply chain. Think about blockchain supply chain. If we don't have the means to control our banking, to control how we pay for things, to control how things are transported, to control how the story is told, how the word is written. If we don't have all of these pieces in place, and Matt can talk about this better than I can. There's a system and a structure and a blueprint out there that we've been attempting to operate off of that blueprint, but we've had major roadblocks and impediments. How do we get past those things? And the title for this show was Culture, Connection, and Collaboration. And in true missionary Baptist fashion, God don't make no mistakes. We were supposed to have a guest on tonight, but the conversation that we were supposed to have was not the conversation that we should have been having. The conversation that we should have been having is what you saw tonight. We talked about everything from Malcolm X. We didn't get to all of the topics that I wanted to cover, but we talked about these connections, these ties that bind us. And now we're getting to the collaboration. So economics, we got to know who we're not necessarily up against, but who we have to keep out of our business. We're gonna have to greet them with, hello to my friends and hello to my enemies, because I know y'all in here too. We're going to have to start moving like the combination of Malcolm and Martin all at the same time. We're going to have to start moving and operating like the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. And I ain't trying to get the Democrats no credit about nothing, but I'm giving Fannie Lou Hamer her credit, Hollis Watkins his credit. The Jackson Film Fest. You talking about being able to green light stories that make sense for Mississippi. We got that. We got it. But we also got to support it. We'll go down to Miami and we'll spend every dollar that we got putting on new outfits for some people. You ain't never finna meet what their name is, Louis Vuitton and Hermes and Gucci, and all them people. I'm gonna say this: every time I see Mac is damn near in a shirt that I made, and every time he see me and my boys, we pretty much rocking the same thing. If it ain't Tougaloo, if it ain't one of the businesses that we've built, if it doesn't have our brand on it, we not rolling with it. And I ain't hating on nobody that buys the designer clothes, but make sure that you supporting your Black-owned businesses and businesses that do business at a high level. Now that's the part. That's the part. We got to do business at a high level, but then also we got to work on that collaboration part, so that we can make sure that we are connected, so that when we have a question, that when we have a particular need, we know who to go to, or we know who to call to get to that person, so that we know that they're not COINTELPRO trying to infiltrate us. So that's a lot, but it's the task that we have at hand. It's a directory that we need. We need a vetting process. We need to be validated. So for you to get through the front door, you have to have certain credentials. So it is what it is. Right on to the real, death to the fakers. And Mac, I'll let you close us out.
Isn't this every organization have a grip and a knot? That's all I got to say. So you got to, you know what I'm saying? So we got to make sure that we use the tools and the foundation that was given to us by our ancestors. And we asked the question, what would our founders do? They did it. They created exclusion for a reason. And they created stuff and they build it. We just don't utilize it like we need to. And that, brother, in the words from one of the oldest churches in the state of Mississippi, from New Hope Missionary Baptist Church outside of Lexington, Mississippi, that is the benediction.
Hey, buddy, that boy said they created exclusion for a reason. All right. One time for your mind, two time for your drink. This has been Nightcap Knowledge. We appreciate y'all for checking in with us, tapping in with us. Shout out to everybody that left a comment. We'll see y'all in Jackson this weekend. We're going to get to where the money resides, but we're going to get some school supplies away. We're also going to make sure that we get that network and that net worth right. But we're going to catch a breeze. Up, might sip a little bit, socialize. We're gonna get to where the money reside. We'll see y'all back here next week, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Peace.